Alright, in this video, we're gonna go over how do you actually draw a hair. Because, let's say you already have some basic knowledge of like how to draw the human head. What we're going to do now is, we're going to add hair on top of it. Hair, it can be pretty complicated, but at the same time, I like to simplify it down to make it not too complicated. And honestly, the biggest mistake I see a lot of people do is treat hair as like individual strands. Like, they'd be drawing hair each individual strand. That's not what you want to do. You want to treat hair as like one big giant block. So for this head, what we're going to do is start at the hairline up here. And then figure out, okay, does this person have straight hair, curly hair? What kind of hair does this person have? And for this person right here, we're going to do straight hair. We'll start off with some bangs right here. So for the bangs, let's treat it as a general shape. Like I said, don't treat it as like individual hair. Rather treat it as like, we'll start up right here, and then a bang right there, and then a shape. So you notice how I didn't do like each hair strand right there. We treat it as like a general shape. We go up with the bangs, and then we take the rest of the hair, treat it as another general shape. Go down. What I like to do is I like to start with the back of the hair as well. So go back here. And another point that I do want to make about hair is that you notice how it's not actually on the skull level. Because hair has volume, so we don't want to be adding it directly right on top of the skull. Rather, it has a little bit of volume here. Now, depending on the hair type and the person, the volume will be different. But we want to just like make sure it's not directly on the skull. And then we are going to take another piece right here, bring it down, and make sure these are all just like general shapes of the hair. So general shape there, and let's make one like going down like that. So now we have like pretty decent hair shape right now, and we'll also actually add some behind the ear. This isn't hair, this is just like where the collar would be, like the collar of the shirt. But we're gonna connect it all together. And now we actually have like pretty realistic looking hair. Obviously not realistic as in like actual realism, but like believable looking hair. Because I do like semi-realistic drawings. Not like entirely realistic, but also not like super animated either. And the next thing to do is, okay, now what's the light source? And for this drawing, we're gonna have a light source coming down this way. And this is where it gets kind of complicated because we're going to start to shade it. We're not going to shade the head or anything, but we're going to shade the hair today. And because the light source is coming down this way, what we're actually going to do is we're going to erase a bit of the skull, give us like a cleaner view right now. The biggest thing that I'd actually say with shading hair to make it pop is add a lot of contrast. So we are going to have a light area right here, but then the other areas are going to be really dark. So we're going to start off with the bangs right now. The way that I shade is I just keep on like flicking up in one spot, then flick down, and it's like a bit of the light is actually going to touch over this way as well. And I don't actually erase, like I don't draw really dark and then erase these parts. Rather, I just don't draw on them at all. We want to get like the shape too. So we want to go around with the circle and get like a shape in. We don't want to just be shading it all flat. So notice how it's like curving up here as well. Get it darker here. And I like to go like really dark in the dark areas, really light in the light areas. And like I said, we have to like make sure we're following a general shape as well. So follow the shape down this way. And treat, you know how we like drew them each as like one shape here, one shape up here, one shape there, one shape down there? Shade it like that as well. So make sure you're shading it in the curvature, but also understand that these are all pretty much just shapes. You don't need to overcomplicate it and think of each one as an individual hair strand. Rather just like look at it as, okay, this is like the general shape that I should follow. So for this hair down here, just follow the general shape like that. Some more dark area here. And pretty much we're just going to repeat this shading of the dark area all over the hair. Now, sometimes I don't actually do like as realistic shading. I'd consider this shading like actually somewhat realistic. Other times I'll literally just like start hatching the hair and like not make it too realistic. But if I do want like a more realistic kind of vibe, then I make sure to just go ahead and shade the hair like this, where I just keep on pulling down, making these areas dark, keeping the other areas light. And you know, another good tip about drawing is like, you don't actually have to make all the areas super detailed. Rather just like the areas of the most focus. So notice down here, I'm not actually gonna put as much detail there. Now, sure, you know what? If this was like a full finished complete drawing, go ahead and add the detail there. But if it's just like a rough sketch, people aren't really gonna be looking down there as much as they'll be looking up here. So we wanna put a lot more emphasis on the upper part of the hair up here. that is where a lot more people will be looking. I mean, like, if you're showing anybody your art. I find it does take a while to actually, like, get all, like, the shading down, especially if you're doing, like, somewhat realistic like this. But I also think it's very good to watch somebody who's done it many times before to understand, okay, this is the shading process, and seeing it in, like, pretty much real time. I also do, like, exaggerate a lot of the light and dark areas, like I said. So right here, it's like, okay, the sun, like, the lighting is coming down this way. So we're gonna add, like, some light areas here, some dark area here, some light area there. Now, again, if you're doing super realistic, this might not be the case for you. You might actually want to do, like, a more realistic kind of style of shading. But I find that this is the one that makes it pop a lot for me. Just, like, really emphasizing the dark and light areas and adding a lot of them. Sometimes you'll even want to, like, twist your paper around to make sure you get, like, different angles than you could before. And at a certain point, it will start to look like, it'll make your drawing pop. Like, you see what I mean about, like, how this is actually kind of popping now? Like, before, it might look a little bit like, just kind of like a simple drawing on the paper. But now, once you actually add, like, this really contrasting shading, that's when it starts to pop. And then sometimes I'll even go along the outline and, like, erase it a bit. Like, if I notice one area is too dark there, I'll erase in through there and fix it up a bit. That's pretty much what drawing is. It's like going over what you found as a mistake and fixing it. Whether that's just, like, finding a mistake in your old art, redoing it in new art, or, like, redoing, like, the old mistake in a better way, fixing it up. Or just, like, going straight over your mistake in your art right now to fix it too. Imagine all the light, it's coming down, hitting, like, this area here, that area here. And then make sure we're emphasizing that there is, like, still hair shape here by adding the darker areas. Darker area there. The light hits a bit right there. And then, you know, I could probably darken up this side of the bangs. And then finally, when you want to make your bangs look more like bang-like, because you'll notice it looks kind of flat right there, right? This is when I would take the eraser and then erase down, erase down, erase down. And then, like, kind of go up like that. And at this point, like I said, remember how you shouldn't be doing individual hair strands at the start? This is when you can add smaller clumps of hair. So they're not individual hair strands, rather they're like smaller clumps right there. You can do that around the end. You always do the biggest things first, then the details last. And I notice when I'm also shading anatomy, I do the same kind of style of shading, and I find it looks kind of cool when it's just like, it almost looks like the hair shading that I do. But I find it looks really cool on anatomy as well. And then finally, if you want to add, like, maybe, let's say a hair, like, coming down like that, hair stranding out there, then you can add, like, a few little tiny fine details here. You know, that hair strand was way too much. But, yeah, you get what I mean? So basically, to summarize this whole process, break the hair into big shapes, and then once you have it into big shapes, then you can shade it as big shapes. Once you shade it as big shapes, then you add, like, the finer details around the hair. So, that's what I do to shade my hair, and hopefully you found this video interesting. If you do like it, then make sure to just subscribe to this channel. And thank you for watching.